Maine Legislative Republicans spoke this morning in Augusta in response to the 2025 state audit that was released last week. They called many of the findings a failure of Maine's government. They pointed to issues including payments going to dead people and problems across 10 of 13 state programs, including Medicaid and SNAP, among others. Republican leaders say 8 years of total Democratic control in Augusta is to blame, and they suggested it could take a federal investigation to address it. They also criticized both the governor and the legislature, saying state leaders aren't taking the issues seriously or holding agencies accountable.
It's apparently going to take the federal government coming in and maybe handcuffing folks before anybody gets their act together in the state government. I don't know what it's going to take for them to move off of this position of it's fine to waste your money, it's fine to spend it inappropriately, it's fine to send it literally to foreign countries without any sort of accountability or transparency with where these funds are going.
We reached out to the governor's office on a response and have not heard back.